Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Takstar SC-M1. Now, this retails for roughly $150 US. I'll include a link in the description, and in full disclosure, this was sent to me by the manufacturer for review purposes. Now, with that out of the way, let's get this out of the packaging. What you're about to see is a sound card, a board, if you will, that is portable. It has a built-in battery, so if you are looking to essentially have start a podcast, use this for live streaming on Twitch, YouTube, any of those things, this may be ideal for you. Now, it's very similar to the Untitled that I unboxed recently, which is more expensive, a little more feature-rich on paper, but very similar. This does have XLR input, and at $150, I think it's tough to beat it. Granted, again, it does have a little less going for it. So 48 volt phantom power, again, a single XLR input. You can connect this to cell phones, of course, tablets. It does have a DSP, that is a digital signal processor chip, 9 effects, ducking, real-time monitor, although it'll be interesting to see what that real-time monitor is really like. 8 hours of runtime, so similar battery life to the Caster, and just really compact. So if that matters to you, again, from a portability standpoint, I think that's a plus. And I just love that these things, are taking something that traditionally wouldn't be possible to a price point and form factor. Again, portability, affordability, that you just generally wouldn't expect. And this thing is so small. I don't think I really expected it to be this small. When I communicated with Takstar and saw it, I did not think it would be this tiny, but folks, it is. I mean, this thing is palmable. I really did not expect a palmable device, but it is palmable. That's just absolutely insane. I thought the AM100 was small, but the Caster is, about, I would say, 3 times the size of this. So really tiny, but you are giving something up in having a much smaller device, even though it has a similar, essentially the same size battery. You do not have as much when it comes to I/O. We have a micro USB port right there for charging the internal battery. Power button on off for the Phantom 48 volt. We have a XLR port there. As well as, and that is not a standard size, I'm just noticing now, looks like it's a mini XLR, so I'm assuming, hopefully they've given us an adapter. If not, that should be fairly easy to rectify. Microphone input, and some aux inputs here. So I'm assuming that's for phones, tablets, and then this is for audio players, so MP3 player, whatever it may be, MIDI maybe. So you've got all of that going on. Nothing else on the side, and then in the front we've got 2 monitoring jacks. So pretty solid I/O. Again, for $150, this thing is adorable. Monitoring, I'm not seeing the physical readout for levels, but we'll see when I actually get this thing going. Actually, let me power it on right now. Let's see if we have power. And we do. It's doing a little light show for you. And, of course, we have sound effects, applause, laugh, despise, kiss, slap, crow, and then these 3 are programmable. I think more than 3 are programmable. So we're going to have to see. So nowhere near the size, of course, again, I'm going to keep saying this, of competing products. And that's what makes it unique. If you're looking for something that takes up absolutely no space at all, you may have found it with this. And I think that's what's really cool about it. And from a portability standpoint, critical if that's why you're picking one of these up to begin with. So let's go ahead and see what else comes in the box. And of course, Takstar makes a lot of AV equipment in terms of microphones. Our manual right there. And so what do we have? We've got a red, I believe this will be our USB Type A to micro cable for charging. So it is. We have that. And then we've got, it looks like we did get our XLR adapter. So I spoke and it's here. And you need that. I mean, it's not really negotiable here. Without having an XLR adapter, you have an issue. So yes, it is as you can see, traditional XLR to mini right there, and that's going to resolve that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, absolutely nothing wrong. And if it can make the run that you need, fantastic. And then last but not least, these are going to be the aux cables, I presume, because after all, this does support aux input, and that is what we've got. So 2 more for aux input. This thing is really cute. It's going to be interesting to see how it performs. I'm not really seeing practical monitoring on it, but let's use it before we decide that. Let me look at the instructions, get my feet wet with it. But again, if you're looking to keep it affordable, portable, and really still feature rich, this looks like it's going to be a winner. I mean, again, I cannot get over the size of this thing. And for many of you, I think that's going to be the winning point right out of the gate, is that how are you going to get a sound card this small with this much going for it that can connect to pretty much anything? I think the only drawback that you have to be aware of course, is that it only supports a single XLR. So, I mean, that doesn't, kill it in terms of capability, but when I'm comparing it to something like the Takstar SC-M1, which is more expensive and more feature-rich, that's the glaring thing to me right out of the gate, is that there you have 2 inputs, 2 XLR inputs. Here you have 1. So if you're looking to do a podcast with more than one person using XLR input, this is not ideal. So this, I feel like, is still completely usable, don't get me wrong, but just something to be aware of. I think this is going to be more ideal, again, for people who are just streaming on Twitch, YouTube, or doing a one-person podcast. But of course, you have other inputs. So let's see how it works before we get to anything. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. Again, this thing is incredibly small, which is just amazing. Excited to get it set up, start using it, and test it out, and see how it fares against more expensive products in similar range. And, let's not go out of our way to compare this to more pro-grade equipment that isn't professional, but more prosumer, like products from Zoom and Rode, because those are not just more expensive, they're much more feature-rich, much larger, and not meant to be portable. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them, hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.